you know that 70% of Fortune 500 companies have mentorship programs and about 25% of smaller companies do? My name is Kristen Mueller and I am the Chief Corporate Dietitian for Nutri-Serve Food Management, and I will be doing a presentation on Nutri-Serve's mentorship program, which will be starting in the upcoming future. So a lot of these large companies have found certain benefits of these mentorship programs built into their company structure. The first being bolstering recruiting, because wouldn't you want to start a new job at a company where you have someone completely dedicated to your own success? And that's what a mentor truly is. Reason two, boosting employee engagement. You don't feel quite as alone in your account when you have a mentor there for support in the beginning. Three, helping to train future leadership. So excellent food service directors train our newest food service directors, which honestly makes perfect sense. Reason four, raising rates of worker loyalty and retention. So let's face it, that food service director job is super hectic and challenging in the beginning, and some extra support truly goes a long way with keeping people on board. So here's the fact. Recruiting and training an employee is expensive and it is time consuming. When employees leave in their first year, it is a huge waste of money for the company. Plus, our clients like stability and they like good returning directors. So these Fortune 500 companies were finding that the benefits of a mentorship program in terms of reducing turnover greatly outweighed the cost of actually implementing it and compensating those mentors. So let's learn a little bit about the mentorship program that Nutri-Serve will be implementing and how you can be considered as a mentor. So let's get started. Hello, my name is Kristen Mueller and I am the Chief Corporate Dietitian for Nutri-Serve Food Management, and I will be doing a presentation today on Nutri-Serve's new mentorship program. The name of our mentorship program is Let's Grow Together, and that's actually the logo over to the right side of this slide. So the purpose of this program is to connect people who have specific skills and knowledge, those would be your mentors, with individuals who are considering your mentees who need or want the same skills and advantages to be successful in their own account. We believe a mentorship program allows our brightest veteran food service directors to shape our first-year food service directors, providing the on-the-job support a mentee needs to be successful. At Nutri-Serve, our food service directors are truly the most essential level of management, as you are the biggest group of managers in our organization. You are also the direct liaison between Nutri-Serve and the client, which is super important in renewing accounts. The corporate office jobs are really built to best support leaders in that food service director role. Think back to when you started as a new food service director. Did you ever feel that you were on an island, meaning that you were in charge of making decisions and leading in a position and situation where you were still pretty much learning yourself? Did you ever feel out of reach of instant support and guidance? The food service director role is exceptionally challenging for training because you are the leader without a boss or trainer on site full time. The true goal of this program is to make a new food service director feel that he or she is not alone on their own island and that they do have the support to be successful as leaders in their own account. The unique thing about a mentor-mentee relationship is that it actually benefits both parties. The relationship can help a mentee develop the skills needed to be successful and expand their network. For a mentor, it serves as a way to give back and can also be a learning experience. Now let's take a look at the 5 goals of our Let's Grow Together mentorship program. Goal 1 is to mold newly hired food service directors into NSFM leaders. 2, to acclimate new food service directors into the food service director network. 3, to instill ethics and cultivate loyalty to both customers and NSFM. 4, to reduce turnover of new food service directors through support. 5, to support the continuing growth of the mentor through new experiences and exposure to another account. Now let's dig deeper into Mentorship Goal 1, which was to mold newly hired food service directors into Nutri-Serve leaders. This can be accomplished through knowledge and idea sharing between the mentor and the mentee, support and guidance in learning the food service director job role, the mentee or the mentor teaching the mentee the NSFM way, so learning our core values, and lastly, building the mentee's confidence and shaping their management skills. Now let's take another look at Mentorship Goal 2, which was to acclimate new food service directors into the food service director network. This can be accomplished through being the mentee's buddy at trainings and events such as regional meetings, summer trainings, and conferences. Doing your best to introduce the new food service director to other food service directors with similar interests or comparable accounts. Now let's take a look at Mentorship Goal 3, which is to instill ethics and cultivate loyalty to customers and Nutri-Serve food management. This can be accomplished through always speaking positively of Nutri-Serve, realizing that you work for Nutri-Serve but are here to support your client, encouraging making the right decisions, which would be owning up to mistakes, being transparent, and being honest. Now we are going to take a deeper look at Mentorship Goal 4, which is to reduce turnover of new food service directors through added support. This is accomplished through being there to guide and listen on challenging days for your mentee, creating stability for your mentee, so reducing the risk of them getting overwhelmed or burnt out, building your mentee's confidence. You want them to have that feeling that they are growing and learning every single day. So just remember, our clients are happy when their food service director position is not revolving a door. So we want to get good people in there that'll stay. We are now going to take a look at the last of our 5 goals of the mentorship program. Goal 5 is to support continuing growth of the mentor through new experiences and exposure to another account. So this goal is related to the way that the mentor benefits from this program. It is important to note that new food service directors bring different experiences and new ideas that can benefit the mentor. As a mentor, you can actually learn a lot about yourself by teaching others. The mentor would also get exposure to the intricacies of a different NSFM account and have the opportunity to learn how to manage it. So if you've been watching this presentation and thinking, oh, I would love to be a mentor, here's how you could be considered to be a mentor with Nutri-Serve Food Management. So the Mentor Compatibility Calculator is actually a tool that I created after researching how other companies assign mentors to mentees. In addition, I researched the skills and characteristics of individuals who make the best mentors based on research. This tool allows for an operations manager to come up with 3 mentor finalists and answer a series of questions on each of their finalists. Point totals are given to each candidate in relation to how they match up to the mentee and if they possess the traits and skills that NSFM is looking for in a mentor. We will review all of these traits on the next slide. So, the fact of the matter is, just because you are a fabulous food service director does not mean that you will be the best mentor. And some mentors match up better with particular mentees than other mentors. So this compatibility calculator, again, is not the deciding factor, but it does help to match mentees and mentors. When it comes to mentors, there are 12 qualities that we are looking for through the Let's Grow Together mentorship program. We want our mentors to, number 1, radiate energy and enthusiasm about the food service director role. We want those who speak positively of Nutri-Serve and see great value in being a food service director. We also want someone who is always looking to grow or to learn more. We want individuals who are open to trying new practices and experimenting. Quality 3, we are looking for mentors that have good reputations from the perspective of their colleagues. We want those with the best attitudes and reputations shaping our future leaders. We are also looking for mentors who work well in a team setting. We want those who will work well in a team really comprised of 3 different people. Yourself as the mentor, the mentee, and you'll be working very closely with the operations manager for the mentee's district. Let's now review qualities 5 through 8 of the 12 qualities that we are looking for in mentors for the Nutri-Serve Let's Grow Together mentorship program. These are all evaluation factors that we are considering in the mentorship compatibility calculator that we've reviewed on a previous slide. So, quality 5, we are looking for mentors who have the ability to give and receive feedback efficiently. So we will consider how well you give feedback to your own employees, if it's constructive, kind, direct, and honest feedback, and we don't want someone who's overly concerned about hurt feelings. So constructive criticism and feedback does make a difference when it comes to the mentor-mentee relationship. Quality 6, we would like people who maybe had a mentor type figure when starting out. So maybe when this mentor started as a food service director, they did have someone who they kind of went back and forth with issues and questions and that kind of thing. And from a lot of my research, I was finding that individuals who had mentors previously are more likely to see value in a mentorship program and put more into it. Quality 7, we want individuals as mentors who could be described as transformational leaders. So transformational leaders make decisions with feedback from team members. Our promotional speaker last year at the summer meeting did a whole section on transformational leadership if you go back and reference that. To groom future leaders, transformational leadership is most effective as you're trying to not make a clone of yourself, but guide someone into creating the better version of themselves. Quality 8, we need someone who is open to the ideas of others. This program is meant to be synergistic in nature, meaning that 2 people learn things from each other, while 1 person helps lead the other to become better at the food service director job. We are now moving on to our last set of qualities that we are looking for in mentors for the Let's Grow Together mentorship program. So, quality 9, we are looking for mentors that have the time and ability to be available often. A big part of being a mentor is being there in times of need and taking some pressure off of the operations manager. So if you are in a district that maybe it's your first year there, things are crazy, you could be a great mentor candidate, but that might just not be the right time for you because you wouldn't be able to be quite as available for your mentee. So that is a factor that we would also consider in the decision-making process. Quality 10, we want someone that is super responsible with following up. We need mentors to follow up on issues to be sure that they are resolved. This is one way that they're working really closely with the operations manager. And the fact of the matter is, true learning doesn't occur if there isn't follow-up to make sure that issues are resolved and change has taken place. Quality 12, we need mentors that act appropriately when it comes to confidentiality. So what I mean by that is that a mentor does not need to report every little mistake to the operations manager. However, they must be able to gauge when operation manager intervention is warranted. So that is a characteristic that we need to feel that person possesses to be considered for this program. Quality 12, we want that mentor to have an understanding that as a mentor, they are not the mentee's boss. Mentors are there to guide, and the operations manager is the boss of the mentee. So when it comes to any kind of corrective action or even any kind of harsh talk, it really should be facilitated by the operations manager and not the mentor, because that's really not the role of the mentor. So you may be thinking in watching this presentation that being a mentor sounds like a great experience, but what are my true incentives? So I came up with this list with the first incentive being resume experience. Being a mentor in a formal mentorship program is an excellent resume booster. Reason 2, advanced leadership roles. When you are a mentor, you are guiding a manager, which is excellent leadership experience and something that would be really positively viewed by Nutri-Serve for future greater leadership positions. Incentive 3, you have a new person to collaborate with. You have a person to work with who brings new ideas and experiences that could benefit you in updating your program. The thing with a mentee is that they generally have a ton of ideas, but they don't have the foundation to put those ideas into action in a way that would be realistic and would work in school food service. So as the mentor, you can really provide a lot of guidance in that way and maybe even try doing whatever you come up with in the mentee's district in your own district. Incentive 4, you have the opportunity to impact someone professionally. It can be super inspiring and fulfilling to guide someone and see them grow, which is the whole point of this program. Incentive 5, we are going to be doing a mentor bonus. So a lot of mentorship programs don't actually have a monetary incentive. However, we are choosing to pay our mentors a bonus, which we will talk a little bit about on the next slides. So the slide that you are looking at now is probably the busiest slide of my presentation, so bear with me on this one. So we are looking at the mentor bonus slide, and the mentor bonus is comprised of payment for both time and performance. So your performance would be as indicated by the mentee and the client. So we can see the total possible payment that a top performer mentor could make is $1,500. So our mentor bonus of $1,500 as a possible amount that you could get is broken into 3 different categories. Category 1 in the purple rectangular box is time and account. So that's actually time spent at the mentee's school district working with the mentee. Evaluation factor 2 is the mentee evaluation of the mentor. So how the mentee, how they felt you did as a mentor and what they feel they got out of the program. Evaluation criteria 3 would be the client evaluation of the mentee. So that would most likely be the business administrator evaluating how that mentee did in their first year, which would be tied to how you let them as a mentor. So let's look at the first criteria, time and account. So the time criteria is based on the number of visits that the mentor makes to the account. So we'll get more into detail about how I came up with this number of visits and when they should be taking place. So the mentor should make at least 59 visits to the mentee's account that are 1 to 2 hours in length, which equate to 59 to 118 total hours spent in account for this program. So these hours would be tracked on a mentor check-in sheet, which we're going to view on a future slide. So this time criteria has different bonus tiers to it. So if we look at the first tier, if you make 0 to 15 visits, that would be out of the 59 visits that we would like you to make, you are doing 25% of what we asked, and you would make $250 for this criteria. If you make between 16 and 30 visits, you are doing 50% of what we recommended, and you will make $500. If you make 31 to 45 visits to the mentee's account, you are doing 75% of our recommended 59 visits, and you will make $750. If you make between 46 and 59 visits to the account, you are doing 100% of what we'd asked, and you would make $1,000. So let's now look at performance criteria 2, which would be the mentee evaluation of the mentor. The mentee will rate the mentor on a scale of 1 to 5 on various categories related to their performance as a mentor. These scores will be averaged together, rounding down for an overall performance criteria 1 score. So basically what this would be is a survey that would go to the mentee, where the mentee would evaluate their mentor for a variety of different categories on that scale of 1 to 5. So our performance criteria bonus tiers would be if the average for that mentor is a 1, you're truly doing 20% of what we hoped you would do. The top would be a 5. So you will get an additional $50 on top of whatever dollar amount you made for time and account. If your average was a 2, you would make $100. If your average was a 3, you would make $150. If your average was a 4, you would make $200. And if your average was a 5, you would make $250. And then the last aspect of the mentor bonus would be performance criteria 2, which is the client eval of the mentee. So the client, who we consider to be the business administrator, will rate the performance of the mentee in his or her first year on a scale of 1 to 5 for various categories. These scores will be averaged together, rounding down for an overall performance criteria 2 score. So again, this would be done through a survey type format where the BA is just looking at the mentee's first year and rating how they did, which does kind of indicate partially how well the mentor guided that person in their first year. So if we look at the performance criteria bonus tiers for this category, they match up with the tiers for criteria 1, with if your average is a 1, you get $50. If it's a 2, you get $100. A 3, you get $150. A 4, you get $200. A 5, you get $250. So you can see if you look at the 3 green numbers for the 3 different categories of the mentor bonus, the most that you could get is $1,500. And you could truly get any combination of this based on how you score in each category. So a lot to look at. Might be a good thing to just kind of sit and wrap your mind around it a little bit, but we want the mentor bonus not just to be given, you get a set amount. We want it to be based on how well you do as well, because that's important to us, that the mentee gets a lot out of this program, and we want that to be incentivized as well. So now we are taking a look at my mentor visit schedule. And just my asterisk there, visits are defined as being 1 to 2 hours, which would include travel. So we are trying to really pair up mentees and mentors that are really close to one another, so that if there was an issue, a mentor could be over there right away. So we're trying not to make this inconvenient or a long drive after work. We want it to be a super convenient and rewarding thing to be doing. So being a mentor in this program involves being available by phone, email, text, and also regular visits to the account. In the beginning, more visits are required as the new food service director gets acclimated. Visits decrease as the year goes on until June, where they increase to help close out the account. So in August, we want the mentor to visit the account 3 days a week, starting the 3rd week of August. So that would be after our traditional summer meeting. So for the month of August, that would be 6 days in that month total. For September, we would like the mentor to go in again 3 days a week to help that mentee really get acclimated. And I mean, like I said, these visits are 1 to 2 hours, so they can be short, just checking in, answering some questions. So that would be 12 total days in the month of September. For October, I am asking that you go 2 to 3 days a week, and that would be for that month, which would be 10 total days for that month on average. For November, I am asking that you go 2 days a week. And we do have some holidays in there, and we have teachers convention, so it would be 1 day per week during teachers convention and Thanksgiving week. So that comes out to a total of 6 days per month that you are visiting the mentee's account. For December, it is again 2 days per week, and we are skipping winter break. So that is 8 days for the month of December. For January, at this point, after winter break, the food service directors should start feeling like somewhat confident and rooted in the account. So we are asking 1 day a week in January and 4 total days for the month. For February, we are going to wind down even more with your visits. So we are asking 1 day every other week, which comes out to 2 total days for the month. For the month of March, we are going to stick with that same routine of 1 day every other week. So it's 2 total days for the month. But again, you still are always going to be available by phone, email, and text. For April, again, we are going for 1 day every other week, 2 total days for the month. May, same routine, 1 day every other week, 2 days for the month. And we are finishing up in June with 1 to 2 days per week, as it takes a little bit of extra assistance when closing out that account, which comes out to 5 total days for the month. So now you can see where I got my 59 visits from. So again, that would be 59 to 118 hours, and that comes out to an average of 88 hours per school year for the mentorship program in that mentee's account. And just to give you a little equation, this is the equivalent of spending 7 to 15 full working days, 8 hours in the account. So if you think of that in terms of an entire school year with 180 days, it's not a huge commitment, but that extra support could make a huge difference. What you are looking at now is the mentor check-in sheet. This sheet is in the front of the mentor binder, as it is used to sign in every time the mentor visits the account. As you can see in the sample on the right, we are looking at August 2020. The mentor circles the dates the account was visited. It states below that the calendar for August that 3 days a week are recommended for the mentor to visit the account. To the right of the calendar is a spot to write in any questions for the mentor. This is a great spot for mentees to keep track of questions, as this form is always used every mentor visit. Any notes can be written below the calendar. At the end of the month, the mentor and mentee can both sign off that the circled visits took place that month. This form is submitted to me at the end of the school year to evaluate for the time and account part of the bonus for the mentor. Now you are looking at the Let's Grow Together 10 Check Site Visit Checklist. This is a list of 10 items to review each time the mentor visits the account. These are aspects of the program that need to be running correctly, as they indicate a healthy operating program. So let's take a look at how we fill this out. So the first thing that we would do is fill out the date of the visit. So you can see I'm filling out that there at the top. So you'd fill one of these out each time you visit the account. So we can see number 1 is timesheets. So first we can look at, are they filled out correctly? If they are, then we check that box. We then look at, are they signed and are they dated? In this case, they were not signed, so we would leave that unchecked. They were dated, so we will check that. Because that we indicated that they were not signed, in comments we can write who we saw did not sign, but that we corrected this. Then we can take a look at serving lines. We can look at whether they are full, appetizing, proper marketing is there, and the menu is posted. In this case, we left the appetizing checkbox unchecked, and in the comments wrote that the feature was being served from a sheet pan and that it was corrected. Once you have completely verified that one part of the 10 check site visit checklist, you can check that off entirely. So you can see that we've done that for timesheets and serving lines, as we have completely evaluated that aspect of the checklist. Now this is part 2 of our Let's Grow Together 10 Check Site Visit Checklist for mentors when they visit a school district of their mentee. So at number 6, we have food safety and sanitation. The mentor wants to make sure that proper practices are in place, and the mentor wants to make sure that employees are wearing gloves, hairnets, hats and masks, like in our current pandemic type situation. And if one of those practices for food safety and sanitation is not in place, under comments, you could write that maybe a specific person, Jane Smith in the situation, was not wearing a cut glove and was coached on that day, 9/8. The next item, and then you would check that off, that item is fully complete. The next item, number 7, would be the POS register, and that would be if you visited the mentees district during meal service. You would check that students are being run in correctly, that cashiers appear to know what a meal is. For number 8, you would do an inventory check. So maybe pull out last month's inventory and kind of compare it to this month's inventory, what's in that storeroom, freezer area right now. And you can just do like a quick scan for accuracy. Make sure that nothing seems like completely out of whack. Number 9 would be doing a menus check. So you just want to make sure that menus are posted somewhere, that they're on Nutri-Serve, that if they're using a publisher menu, they have them posted on the school website. And just do a quick scan to make sure that they're compliant, so that they have the correct food groups, that they're offering a good variety, that they're offering the vegetable subgroups. Number 10 would be a financial health check. So this is just going to be a quick run through of the numbers that you would evaluate in LAMPS. So you want to compare some metrics from the previous month to the current month to make sure that things are kind of on track, nothing is completely different from last month, especially in a way that would be considered worse. So things to look at, important metrics, would be meal counts, participation, food costs, and meals per labor hour. So, and that would be just comparing it from one month to the next to make sure that there's no dramatic changes. Then, after checking off all these boxes, running through the entire checklist, you just want to go through it with the mentee to make sure that they understand the changes that need to take place and have the mentee sign it. You would sign it as the mentor, and then you would date it. So we can see the date appear there and the names at the bottom. So what you are looking at here is a copy of the mentor binder. So each mentee will get a binder with a flash drive that will have all the documents digitally. And this can serve as a guide to both the mentee and the mentor, but the mentee is actually going to have that physical copy. For the 2020-21 school year, that's going to be the pilot year for the mentorship program, where I work really closely with both participants, which would be the mentee and the mentor. And I really want to continue to grow this program content so that this binder really serves as a true guide to educating your mentee on Nutri-Serve practices. So now we are going to run through the Let's Grow Together 4 growth stages of this program. And as you can see, the program is broken up into 4 growth stages that you can see on the left of this slide that range from planting the seed to growing and thriving. So it really fits within that Let's Grow Together theme. This program takes place over an 11-month period running from August to June. The Let's Grow Together Stage 1 is planting the seed, which takes place in months 1 and 2, which would be August and September. During the planting the seed phase, you will establish your growth plan, which we'll go through on a future slide, taking into account the mentee's experiences, strengths, and weaknesses. So your initiatives as the mentor in Stage 1 would be to support the mentee and operations manager in getting the account up and running. That's going to be big for Stage 1. During Stage 1, you would expect to spend a lot of time actually physically visiting the account versus more text and phone calls, which would come a little bit later in the program. You want to try to make it a routine to stop there at a variety of times, so before, after, and during the service time, so you kind of get a full feel for how the program is running. At this point, you really want to work to figure your mentee out, kind of learn a little bit about his or her background, try to figure out where he or she is strong or weak, and you want to communicate regularly with the operations manager, especially during this time. You also want to help the mentee connect with his or her team, meaning all the employees in the kitchens, and you want to help them connect with the district staff, because that's super important, that relationship for that mentee to be successful. You also want to work on building the mentee's confidence to facilitate growth at this point. So try to make decisions together at this point versus you making the decision and telling the mentee the answer. So try to make it a little bit of a team effort when figuring things out during this stage because that's conducive to building confidence. The Let's Grow Together stage 2 is breaking ground. That would take place in months 3 through 5, which would be October, November, and December. During the breaking ground phase, your mentee will have breakthroughs in their position as they absorb knowledge from your expertise as their mentor. So, you want to encourage questions because that will truly promote growth. Your initiatives as the mentor in stage 2 would be to really help the mentee to establish consistent daily, weekly, and monthly routines. We all know as a food service director that there's a lot of things with deadlines that need to happen on certain days of the week when that comes to things like billing and placing orders. So just really help for them to get into those routines. And I will have some supporting documents to help you get those mentees into a routine. At this point, you want to start to give the mentee a little extra independence. So maybe some simple projects like having the mentee start inventory on their own that month. In stage 2, you want to keep on building your mentee's confidence. So you're allowing for more independence with those smaller decisions. And if the mentee asks you a question, kind of direct the question back first and see how the mentee answers, and then maybe agree or disagree with that approach. Towards the end of this stage, you want to consider having the mentee visit your account for maybe a different perspective. They might be at the point where they can leave during service at certain times and feel comfortable with that, and that's a great time to gain a whole different perspective from a new account. You also want to ask your mentee to brainstorm some things that he or she might want to change in their program. Now that they've kind of gotten into it, they're in a little bit of a groove running things, you can start talking about maybe some changes that could take place. And it's good to keep in mind that January can really be a good time to implement some new initiatives and systems as you have people coming back from winter break and they're expecting change because that's kind of how January is. It's just the start of some new things. The Let's Grow Together stage 3 is rooting down. This would take place in months 6 through 8, which would be January, February, and March. During the rooting down phase, your mentee will begin to feel comfortable and confident, having created a strong foundation in their position. So they'll be really getting into a groove at this point. He or she will feel more connected to their team and will have the experience to make decisions with greater conviction. So your initiatives as the mentor in stage 3 would be that your mentee should be able to complete some of the monthly routines very independently at this point, such as financials, inventory, billing, special functions, etc. So as the mentor in this stage, just really be there to check their work. That's the most important thing. At this point, your mentee has the basics down, so it's time to drill down in more detail. So if there's something you kind of just went over very broadly initially, at this point you can give greater explanation and they probably won't be overwhelmed at this point and will actually want to learn a little bit more about it. At the start of the calendar year, January can be a good time to also implement some new systems and initiatives. So at this point, you want to really assist your mentee on training their team on the changes that are going to take place. And lastly, you can recognize some things in the account that could be a little bit better as the mentor. And with this, I think the right approach is to kind of address these thoughts with the operations manager of new things that could possibly happen in the account. And then the three of you can kind of have a meeting with the new food service director, and you can bring in additional resources if needed, some of the consulting staff like Olivia or I, or even other food service directors. Now we are moving on to the Let's Grow Together stage 4, which is growing and thriving. This takes place in months 9 through 11, which would be April, May, and June. So during the growing and thriving phase, your mentee will be blooming in his or her position. At this time, mentees start finding their stride as they begin to make the program their own. So now it's time to discuss some future ideas. At this point, training will come full circle as you teach your mentee how to close out the current school year and plan for the next one. So, initiatives for you as the mentor in stage 4 would be to set goals for next school year. So, this could be a new program or initiative. You can give your mentee some ideas of options that you think would work well in the account. That's where your experience as the mentor really comes into play. Also, try to be open to some new ideas from the mentee. And they might have some great ideas, but just need that operational assistance and experience from you to help guide them in implementing some of their new ideas. You want to have a discussion with the mentee about the job role of the food service director and how they thought this school year went. Kind of ask the mentee what he or she likes and does not like about the position. Also ask what the mentee thinks that he or she did well and what could be improved upon. You may have some ideas for making the parts of the job that the mentee does not enjoy or the struggles that they have a little bit better. So that's why having this conversation is very useful in that mentor-mentee relationship. You also want to talk about staffing, maybe figure out among all the food service workers who is going to be coming back, who is not coming back, and just kind of talk about with the mentee, like who is working in certain kitchens, who is not working, and could people maybe be switched. Over the summer is a great time to make changes like that. Now we are going to take a look at the Let's Grow Together My Growth Plan that I kind of briefly introduced in stage 1 of the mentorship program. So at the very beginning of the program, you want to sit down with your mentee and establish their growth plan. So each month you want to pick a different topic to go over in more depth in one of your visits. Each mentee comes to us with a different background and experience, so coming up with the growth plan together is the best approach. So if you look at all the growth topics to the right of this slide, if this mentee was previously maybe a bookkeeper, they probably have a really strong bookkeeping and accounting type background. So you might not want to cover that until later in the program or even not at all and focus on some other items earlier, which is why we didn't come up with the order of the training ourselves, just because we felt that every person comes to us with such a different background and experience, and just the mentee and mentor kind of making the decision together would be the best approach. So on this growth plan that you're looking at on the right, you want to write in a topic for each month to cover from the list of growth topics at the right of that page. You also want to have the mentee, mentor, and operations manager sign the bottom of this form so that you're all kind of on the same page of what the growth plan is. You also want to fill in the growth topic at the top of your mentor sign-in sheet that we had gone through on the previous slide, that you basically fill in for every visit that you make to the mentee's account, and that's a good reminder of what the growth topic is for the month. So there is a line for you to write the growth topic in right on that sign-in sheet. All right, so now I'm going to go through the Let's Grow Together mentorship binder highlights. So basically I'm just going to highlight some different materials that I developed that are that you will be able to get from the binder or from the flash drive if you want a digital version. And they're really just great resources for the mentor and mentee to use to help get that mentee up and running in their district. Just things that I felt would be useful from working the food service director job that I kind of wish that I had. So the first thing that we have here is a food service director contact list. So basically it's all of the contact information organized by county with the number of years that the food service director has been with NSFM. So I figure if you have an issue as a new food service director, you want to kind of know all of the local directors in your region, and you'd probably want to reach out to the ones that are somewhat close to your district, number one, and have been with Nutri-Serve for a long time that you feel are experienced. So this will be a great guide into finding the right person to contact when you're looking for someone other than your mentee to use as a resource. So let's take a look at another mentorship binder highlight. So this document is called Who to Contact at Corporate. So basically in the mentorship binder, I already have a whole organizational chart for the mentee with contact information for each corporate office person and kind of like a chain of command so you understand who reports to who. So this specific document I thought would be great for a new food service director because everyone at corporate kind of like handles different things. So if you have like common questions or issues, this guide would kind of tell you what person is the right person to contact. So you don't have to go back and forth transferring between people and explaining the issue over and over again. So you're just seeing a snapshot of the top of this document, but I have every department listed out and exactly who does what in each department. So this could be a great resource for a new food service director. So here's another mentorship binder highlight called the New Food Service Director Glossary, and this is actually in my summer reading section of the mentorship binder. So basically this is a document that defines all common terminology and acronyms that you would hear as a new food service director. So we know that there's like a whole different lingo that people speak in the school food service world. So this basically just defines all of that. So if a mentee were to read this over the summer, they would kind of get comfortable with some of this terminology and they would have this as a resource to look things up if they hear words that they're not really sure about. So this is a huge document. It's a lot of pages, but just really helpful acronyms and terminology to know as a new food service director. Another mentorship binder highlight is our entire summer reading section. On the left, you're looking at one document that I have in that summer reading section titled 8 Simple Ways to be Sensationally Successful in the Food Service Director position. So it just gives 8 tips of things that you can do right away. So this summer reading section has all kinds of reading materials that will make the mentee more knowledgeable as a new food service director. And some of the topics for this section include the administrative review, email etiquette, offer versus serve, Nutri-Slice versus publisher menus, government commodities, leadership styles, and how to be an excellent mentee. Another mentorship binder highlight is my vendor cheat sheet. So basically this houses all contact information for each vendor. So we have on there who your contact or representative is, what their name is, what their office phone is, what their cell phone is, what their email is. It also gives you how you can order. So if it's from a website, if it is from a paper order form that you email, whatever the system is, I have that information on here. I also have what time you must have your order in the day prior to delivery. And if it's like a couple days prior, I have that written in there for each vendor. And you can basically fill this out yourself. So you can write in all your school names, what their account numbers are. You can write in your login information here. So because you're writing your login information here, though, this is something you want to keep in a very safe place for that reason, so people don't have your usernames and passwords. But I know having that stuff written down is important as a new food service director because you might be home and realize you forgot to do something. And if you have that login information, you would be able to log in on a home computer if orders could be placed online. You can see for US Foods, for example, that there's also a spot where you can circle which day is your delivery day. You can write some notes, so maybe like common product numbers that you're constantly buying. So this is just a really great reminder so you have all the details together on one page for all of your vendors so you can stay super organized. And that's it for the vendor cheat. Our next mentorship binder highlight is an open meeting agenda for your August welcome back meeting. So this is basically a sample agenda. It can also be customized with any other agenda items that you want to include. So that's a screenshot of what that agenda kind of looks like on the left. And then on the right, there is a sign-in sheet that goes with it. So just helpful for a new food service director or mentee to kind of have an idea of what to cover in that welcome back meeting. The next mentorship binder highlight that we're looking at is a getting to know you questionnaire. So I thought this is something that would be super helpful for a new food service director or a mentee. And basically you would have each of your team members fill out this form at your August meeting or just sometime around that time. And basically it would just allow you to have all their information kind of together on one sheet of paper so that it could be updated in LAMS. If you brought this binder to work and back home with you, you would have all their contact information really handy in the binder if you just have them fill this out. So they could fill out their name, their start year with NSFM, so that you know that, what their birthday is, if you try to do anything special for birthdays. They would also plug in all their contact information here so that you have that handy and can compare it to any previous records that were in the account. There's also sections on this where they can tell you a little bit about their specific job with Nutri-Serve. So they write in their job title and they describe all of their daily job duties. What they also fill out is what their favorite part of their job is and what their least favorite part of their job is. So I figured if you're aware as a new food service director that this person loves this person hates this, maybe you can like change up right away some of the things that different people are doing to kind of make like 2 unhappy people 2 happy people. And that could be a nice way to kind of like win over some of your employees right away if they feel like super heard and you made an effort to learn what they do and what they like and what they don't like. There's also a lot of fun questions on the back of this to kind of help you learn some of your employees' hobbies, their interests, a little about their personalities. So just kind of a fun way to create some associations to help you maybe put like a name with a face right away and just learn a little bit of some personal things about each of your employees to just help you connect with them a little bit better. The next mentorship binder highlight is the handbook highlights document, which is basically a nice document to go through at your August meeting or just like right before school starts. And you can go through some of the topics that are maybe really important to you and ask employees to review the rest of this at home, as it is a bunch of pages. But you can actually give them a full hard copy of this, and it's so much smaller than the handbook, but covers like the really important stuff that are really important just for back to school. And it's a good way to just like hold your employees accountable for understanding the handbook conditions and how they relate to their individual jobs. And on the sign-in sheet, there is a spot where they acknowledge that they received this and that you did go through these handbook highlights with them. The next mentorship binder highlight is a weekly to-do list that I created. This is something that I always wish that I had when I was a new food service director, just a to-do list of kind of what I need to absolutely get done every single week that repeats and what kind of has to be done by each day. So it's basically a weekly to-do list of general tasks organized per day, but also there's open spots to plug in details like, for instance, place your US Foods order by 4 p.m. so that you don't forget to do that, and then you can actually check it off when you actually do it. So basically you can print out a copy of this per week if it helps the new food service director or mentee to stay organized in the beginning. It also has a spot at the bottom that has a bunch of your monthly tasks just to like kind of keep you on board with staying on task with things that have due dates for each month as well. The next mentorship binder highlight is a weekly cleaning schedule. So basically with this, you could do a handwritten version if that's easier for you. You can also take the digital version and type in all the details if you think that is more clear. So what I would recommend is for doing this per school. So you would write in the school name, the district name. Again, you can fill it out handwritten or typed, and then you can laminate it. So you basically just want to come up with all your cleaning tasks that should take place each week and then write in the person who is responsible. So it's super simple. It's very clear as to what the task is, who has to do it, what day it has to take place, and you can even plug in a couple details about it. So it's a great way to just kind of establish as soon as you get in here into the district, this is the cleaning schedule and this is my expectation, so you don't have to be the bad guy and do corrective actions or just run into issues later with getting your staff to clean and maintain things the correct way. The next mentorship binder highlight is a job description document. So basically it's a job description form that can be filled out for each position in your kitchen and hung in the workstation of each employee. The Getting to Know You questionnaire that we looked at on a previous slide can help you figure out individual daily job duties of the workers in the mentees district. So the position templates available are the food service worker, broken up into the cashier and server. We also have the cook, the kitchen manager or lead, a driver, and a bookkeeper. So these include a general description, and then you can customize job duties per worker. And these general descriptions I plugged right from the HR Now Hiring section of the Nutri-Serve website. So that's completely our description, and the part that you customize is under the specific job duties for that district. We also have a safety check at the bottom. So it's just a reminder to them of what needs to be done and the supplies that you need to complete your job. And at the very bottom, you can have your food service worker sign it, your food service director sign it, the mentor sign it and date it, so that everyone's kind of on the same page as to these are the expectations of this job role, and this is what needs to happen on a daily basis. All right, so now we're going to take a look at what makes a good mentee. So we're going to give you some top tips to be successful as a mentee in your school district. So number one, you want to radiate energy and enthusiasm about learning. So you want to try to be an energy donor and not an energy recipient. 2, you want to present the silver lining. So as a mentee, you want to try to present the upside versus the downside, and that's from everyone to your mentor, your operations manager, the school district staff, your employees. So you want to try to avoid excessive complaining or bad mouthing. 3, you want to be on a constant quest for growth. So as a mentee, you want to try to do your best to frame your problems that arise as growth opportunities, and just that kind of positive mindset will just make a huge difference in helping you be more open-minded and growing into the food service director job role. Number 4, you want to ask for guidance, not help. So you want to remember, a mentor is not there to do the work for you. He or she is there to help you do your work better. Number 5, you want to take advantage of being the center of attention. So in this relationship, the mentor is entirely committed to your success as a mentee and assigned to you only. So you want to truly take advantage of the mentor's undivided attention. Now we're going to take a look at our second round of tips for mentees on how to be really good mentees and how to get the most out of the program. So number 6, we want our mentees to be open to sometimes critical feedback. And we remind them that your mentor is doing you a disservice if he or she is not providing you honest feedback. That is part of the reasoning behind why we are actually doing this program. Number 7, the mentee should set the tone for meetings. So we want the mentees to remember that your mentor is there to support you. So you want to keep track of your questions and use those to help you guide conversations. That's why I hope the mentor sign-in sheet will be super helpful, where the mentees can write their questions in right there so that they don't forget to ask you as the mentor. We want mentees to be conscious and courteous of your mentor's limitations. So we want mentees to keep in mind that the mentor's district may have different programs and processes, and they're not going to have the answers to everything, and it is okay to ask other food service directors for help too. And you as the mentor, if you feel like this isn't your thing, you don't have the answer, it's okay to talk to the operations manager and think of another food service director that might be a good reference in this particular department. Number 9, we want the mentees to know that it is okay to disagree, because the fact of the matter is that there is often more than one right way to do things. So we don't want them to be afraid to ask why and express their opinions to you as the mentor if they don't agree right away. Number 10, we want our mentees to be prepared to take risks. So we tell them that your mentor will help remove barriers and push you out of your comfort zone, and that really is where true growth happens. So we remind them not to fight it, and that leaving your comfort zone, again, is where the real work happens. Now we are moving on to how to be a good mentor. So these are the top tips that we are giving you as the mentors to be successful. So number one, we want you to be an active listener. So we really want you to focus on everything your mentee is saying and try to refrain from thinking of a response until he or she has finished speaking. And that is the true definition of active listening. So you don't want to try to interrupt your mentee and give them an answer. Just let them explain it all and then hear it before you even start thinking about a response and giving them some feedback or an answer. Number two, trust and inspire. So you want to try to let your mentee make some decisions and solve problems on his or her own. This can be very empowering for a mentee when they are given the opportunity to do this and do this successfully, and it can help build their confidence. Number three, you want to take a genuine interest in your mentee. So, especially in the beginning and throughout the program as well, try to learn a lot about their goals, their likes, their dislikes, interests, and hobbies. Knowing information like this actually helps to give them some more meaningful advice. Number four, you want to pose your answers as questions. So instead of right away just giving the answer, sometimes asking the question back allows the mentee to kind of come to the answer on his or her own instead of you giving it to them, which again is empowering and is just a better way to go about just the constant questions that you'll be getting as a mentor. Number five, you really want to focus on constructive criticism. So you want to advise your mentee that something can be done better by also offering guidance on how to do so. So you don't want to completely knock them down with what you're saying, but just kind of be soft about it, but strong, and then you have to also give them the way to fix it if you're telling them that they're not doing something right. All right, so now we're going to run through 6 through 8 of our top tips on how to be a good mentor. So, number 6, you want to be open with your failures along with your successes. So, as a mentor, you are going to be sharing a lot of what worked for you. You also want to reference where you failed so your mentee can see how you were able to grow from it. Number 7, you want to regularly motivate your mentee. So, doing things like checking in on a regular basis and sending some encouraging words for the week can be very uplifting, especially at the start of the week when we all know things can be a little chaotic as a food service director. Number 8, you want to embrace where your mentee currently is. So whether your mentee is a seasoned veteran in the industry or a recent college graduate, your job is to teach the NSFM way and to help assimilate this person into our company culture. All right, and now we are at the end of my presentation. So any questions can be addressed to me, Kristen Mueller, Chief Corporate Dietitian. My phone number is 609-500-7525, and my email is kristenm@nsfm.com. So don't forget to take the evaluation quiz for this presentation, and there is a link to that quiz on your virtual agenda.